Our mission, we are co-creating a world that works for everyone by living intentionally, loving unconditionally, and seeing God in all people and all faiths. A glorious affirmation that we know is more than just words. It's putting this consciousness into motion, which is creating this vision and mission we have. And you, wherever you are part of this co-creation we do with Spirit every day and always here. So thank you for being a part of that. For announcements, I wanted to mention today, and I've mentioned a little bit, but I really want us to begin focusing on it more now, that we have been a church now for 50 years. We were chartered as the Church of Religious Science 50 years ago, and then 15 years ago, we were rebranded with all of the centers for spiritual living across the nation and across the world to be a center for spiritual living. So we're the Napa Valley Center for Spiritual Living. And really, this history goes back. Before that, there was a study group here. And so for 60 years, there's been Science of Mind here in the Napa Valley. So we want to celebrate this year, and going into the fall, we're going to have some official parties and engagements that hopefully we're able to do without restrictions. But either way, we want to create some memories from the past. So we would like to invite you to be part of a committee that is planning these events and planning promotions for it and things like that. So online, there's a place for you to sign up under forms. Look for that on our webpage to sign up to be part of this committee that's part of this planning process. And we're also going to invite people that maybe they don't live here in Napa Valley anymore, but they were part of the history of it. So that you could be part of this committee because they're going to meet virtually. So exciting to do that. The other thing I want to let you know is we are having one thing during this time of the pandemic, as we are continuing in it, I know, but it's lessening some, especially here in Northern California. We're looking to moving out. And one thing during this time I've got really clear on is how important our practitioners are, that they have continued to hold the center in consciousness and in love, as well as all of the community members that we have and people who attend our center, whether they did it in person or whether they're doing it online now for the first time, how important and essential these practitioners are. And so I really want to give the opportunity to for anybody who seeks to become a practitioner to become one. We're going to have classes in the fall. And I've already noticed several people, I like 12 to 15 people that would make great practitioners. So I'm going to be reaching out to you and invite you to these classes we're going to have between now and September, that any classes you need as a prerequisite to start practitioner classes, we're going to offer. And it starts with, in May, I'm going to do a shortened foundations class, because to qualify for practitioner class, you have to have taken foundations within 5 years of when you start practitioner classes. So even if you took it some time ago, we're going to do a 4-week foundations class in the month of May on Tuesday nights. And we're going to get, and even if you've never taken it before, for new students, for returning students, for refresher courses, whatever you want to do, a 4-week class, $50. It's easy to do. So I really encourage you to sign up. We also have that on our webpage, how to sign up for that. And then in June and July, we're doing a class doing with a history of New Thought and Essential Earnest kind of combined together. That's going to be an 8-week course because there's more material to cover there, but it can cover the one of those classes that you need. And then in August, we're going to have kind of an elective time when we're offering several different classes. And then in September, we're going to kick it off. So if you're interested in being a practitioner, please let me know. And we're going to create a list, and hopefully we're going to be able to reach out to everybody we can think of, but we might miss somebody. So let us know if you are interested. We also, on Wednesday nights, we're starting a Circle of Intention group. This is open to anybody. We're using the Power of 8 circle techniques as well as, but you don't have to have any experience. Just come and talk about what's going on in your life and what you want to create, and we're able to support you. So we're going to do meditation at 6:30, and right after that, we're going to do the Circle of Intention. All are invited to come. There's a link on that. It's virtual. And then we also have other ongoing events, recovery groups, Course in Miracles group, Spanish meditation, as well as our Spanish services that are the first and fourth Sunday of the month. So please join us for any and all of those events. Many blessings to you. And now we're going to begin the sacred part of our service with Bodhi. With Bodhi.
Good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Montana, though we have a snowstorm showing up this evening. So we're going from 61 degrees down to 28 degrees. Woohoo! Spring in Montana. So you guys are lucky where you're at. But anyway, it's still a blessing to be here in Montana. It's beautiful and it's always interesting and keeps you on your toes, that's for sure. So let's just take a moment to just take a breath in. Just breathing in all that beautiful sunshine. Breathing in this time to be together as a community, whether it's in person or online. Just giving thanks for this wonderful technology so that we can still be present with one another as a community. So just breathing that all in. Just bringing that in down into your center. Pulling all that energy in, all the busyness of getting ready and all the chaos and the technology goof ups and all the different things that brought you here this morning. Just let that all go. Let that energy come back into your center and just be present with the divine spirit that resides within you, that is surrounding each and every one of us in this room, in this community, in this world. Just being able to sit with that, knowing that this beautiful music today reaches you in that space. The words from Reverend Jay reaches you in this space. Just knowing that you are perfectly surrounded by the divine spirits, divine spirit of love and support and guidance. Just feeling that peace and reverence and grace in this space within yourself, the space in which you connect with God. Allowing that beautiful flute music to resonate within your being, to resonate in your connection with God. And just bring yourself back into this present moment, into this beautiful space, this Napa Valley Center for Spiritual Living. Just knowing that we're grateful to be in this community and have this technology so that we can be together today. And I know that our talk today with Reverend Jay is about finding the blessings, even in hard times. And of course, this last year that the pandemic has been very challenging for a lot of us, and more so for others even. And sometimes it's difficult to see that blessing. But just like I was speaking of before, when you can find that connection with God, with Goddess, with Spirit, with Allah, whatever you might want to call it, it just really helps you to stay in that, anchor you into that groundedness of knowing that God is always there, that God is backing you. And I've been, to be honest, I don't always feel that connection because I go in and out like the tide of the tides, coming and flowing, and the waves. And sometimes it feels like a tidal wave of emotion overwhelms me and I sort of get disconnected. But I never really am disconnected because I have a commitment and I have faith and I have intention to stay in this space and stay in that connection with God. So even though I might be floundering like a fish out of water, I know God's always there, and I will always find the blessings. And most of you know that I've been here taking care of my parents for over 5 years, and most of you know too how challenging that's been for me, living with my Lieutenant Colonel Virgo father. And I love him dearly, but we just butt heads. And I've said he's my biggest teacher, but it's been very, very difficult living here 24/7 in that energy of the patriarchal and authoritative energy. For me, it is. And despite having learned a lot and grown a lot, I came to a realization that I needed some space. And so I bought a house, and I'll be moving out in the next couple weeks. And, well, I won't be moving out till May because I have things to do at the house, but still, it was a really hard decision to come to that. And there's been so many blessings of things that I've learned, but being in this challenging situation has created so many opportunities to be grateful. And one was when I found out that my house that my offer was accepted. I had to immediately get off the phone because I felt this intense emotion come over me. And I was talking to my girlfriend, who's my realtor, and I'm like, I had to make excuses and get off the phone. And I just sunk to the floor and I just sobbed. And I just cried and cried and cried. I mean, for a good 20, 30 minutes, just this deep racking sobs. And I'm like, what is going, I should be happy. And I was like, I just felt this huge guilt that I was leaving my parents, and still a little difficult. And but I realized that the most important piece was that I really needed some space for healing. And being in this home wasn't conducive to my healing. And not to mention 5 years worth of caretaker burnout. And it was through God that I was able to come to that decision. Excuse me, because I followed my heart and my intuition instead of my head that was saying, you can't leave your parents, they're getting older, and this is like ass backwards, excuse my language. But here you are, they're getting older and you're going to leave when they're going to need more help. But I just intuitively and knowing that God is always there for me and staying connected to him helped me come to that decision that this was the right decision for all of us. I'll be more present with them mentally, physically, spiritually, by having my own space, my own sanctuary to go to find healing and to find peace and sanctuary in between me being here and helping them. So I'll still be here to help them. But and then when that happened, after I was done crying, I was like, who do I call? I need to call someone. I need something. And it wasn't that I didn't know who to call. It was like, which of the many people that I have in my support system do I call? And thankfully, I do have that support system, and that is another blessing that I have in this hardship and these challenges that I have. Is I have an incredible support system between Reverend Jay and Reverend Julie, and the practitioners and my friends and my family. I have that, and I got a call at 1 o'clock in the morning, a text from a friend I haven't talked to in a long time, and she has no support system. And I was waiting to get on here this morning, and it just broke my heart that she doesn't have that support system, and how lucky and fortunate that I am that I have this community and my family and my friends that support me in these challenging times, and God, because I have that faith. And even though there's times when I'm lacking in that faith and lacking in my discipline of prayers and meditation, it's always there. It's just like electricity. It's always there. And I know this. And because I know this, it always has my back, even when I'm not remembering it. So blessings on all of you. Thank you for your blessings in my life. Thank you for being present here today. Looking forward to hearing Jay's message on expounding more on this, where you can see the blessings in all of life and all of the challenges, and whether it's good or bad, God has our back. And I know that you have my back. So blessings on all of you, and thank you.
Thank you, LuAnn. And here's Bodhi.
The rhythm of my breath is dancing like a river, so wild and free. Inspiration like purple velvet colors, so wide and deep. Blowing like a gust of wind, clearing out the cobwebs inside of me. Washing out the basement of my soul, I awaken from an ancient sleep. And I'm in ecstasy, a diamond ecstasy. And I feel the ecstasy, ecstasy, ecstasy in my soul. And I'm in ecstasy, diamond ecstasy. And I feel the ecstasy in my soul, in my soul. standing on the edge, swaying with the breeze, I learned to flow. Melting all resistance, I relax, find my strength and I let it go. Way off in the distance, off to the far horizon, there's a rainbow. Beyond the worldly success, there's an internal peace that we can know. And I'm in ecstasy, I'm in ecstasy, and I feel the ecstasy, ecstasy in my soul. And I'm in ecstasy, I'm in ecstasy, I feel the ecstasy, ecstasy, ecstasy in my soul. My soul, my soul. Ooh, yeah, in my soul, in my heart and soul.
Thank you so much, Bodhi. It's you seem to always have the right music just to bring in the mood that's there. So beautiful. So thank you. Thank you for sharing with us today. So we continue this week, this month actually, in the theme of stepping into the unknown. And it's interesting as we move around the country more, so to speak, as we employment, restaurants and hotels are getting back, vineyards, wineries are getting back into more busyness. As a matter of fact, downtown, today is one of those days, probably Thursday through Monday. It looks like somebody has taken an anthill and stomped on it or something, and ants are going every which direction now because it's so busy downtown, and this is good. But we also are cautious because we're stepping into the unknown. It's from that point of somewhat social isolation we had for a long time. We are observing, we were almost passive in our watching, and we weren't sure. Now it's even more unknown as we step out, that there's almost a hesitation that we have about things, as well as super, super sad news lately, about all the violence. And so we realized that while we were seeking to, and we're still emerging brighter, stronger, and wiser, there's also an element that was people's shadow that was still there that perhaps didn't get addressed during social isolation. And so it becomes more profound, more pronounced as well. And it's important, this topic that I'm talking about today, blessed always or blessed always, depending on how you pronounce that word, is probably more important than ever, because we need and want to and desire to remember that Spirit is always with us. No matter what is happening, what we read about, what we see, what we experience, Spirit is always there. People often talk about things being a blessing or a curse. A blessing or a curse. And I need to let you know what my definition and the definition of a blessing here at this center is. It's not something outside of ourselves, a God up in the clouds that's blessing us or cursing us. A blessing is simply recognizing the God and good that's in a situation, even if it doesn't seem like there's God in it or there's good in it. To trust that it is there because we believe that Spirit is everywhere, in everything, and everyone. And when we talk about the word curse, last week I talked about it a little bit, but I really want to bring it home this week about a curse. In the old Arabic, a curse was a hidden good. It wasn't anything evil or wrong. It was just a hidden good. So things are either obvious blessing, and those things are always easy to be grateful for, or there's this curse that's a hidden good that might take a moment to recognize, to reveal itself. And maybe it never does in clear ways, but you trust that Spirit is in each and everything. There are some things that will be left a mystery. And that's okay. We still know that Spirit is in that situation. There is good in that situation, and we affirm it. Too often, we are observing a situation in our life or in the news or in somebody else's life, and we want to label it as good or bad or evil or a curse. Something unfortunate happened. And there is definitely undesirable things that happen. And I think we need to take the time to grieve losses, to grieve things that don't turn out the way we want them to, disappointments in our lives. But it also means there's good in there. And sometimes we have to be willing to feel it, to remember it, to recognize it, to find some good in it. It may not be in the actual event, but in our awareness and our mindfulness and our openness and our willingness to experience God and good. That alone opens up our lives to a greater sense of joy, a greater sense of peace, a greater sense of love. And maybe that's the purpose of everything. It's just that. And I'm not in no way suggesting that events happen just so we can experience that, because I don't believe there's a predestination or some sort of, like some people say, everything happens for a reason. Well, I'm kind of cautious of that phrase because that suggests that something is planned, that we are, by some outside forces, going to experience something so that we'll experience a love and a peace. And I just don't believe that part of it. I believe there's good in God in everything. And if we allow it, we will recognize that God, we may not be able to understand the whys of things, why things happen in our lives, or why people do certain things that we see, why a police officer confuses a gun for a taser, why somebody walks into a store and randomly shoots people, or into a FedEx building and shoots people. We will never be able to answer the why of that. But we trust that there's a hidden good there. And it may not be for us to experience when it is not our direct experience. We just need to trust it's happening. When it's our direct experience, we will, if we're willing to sit and listen and contemplate and allow the good to come out of it, it will. Every end of every service, we always say, wonderful things are happening through me right now. Wonderful things are happening. I tell you what, when something happens that is undesirable by life or it's an unfortunate thing, as soon as I can, sometimes not always right away, but as soon as I can, I turn that around to wonderful things are happening. Rather than curse it, I affirm wonderful things are happening here. I must admit, I succumbed to the somebody. I was going down, crossing an overpass, and somebody came in from the highway, and if I hadn't braked, would have run right into me. They didn't merge, and I must admit, I didn't do the light tap. I did the long horn, the brrr, So for a moment, I go, oh boy, okay. A person probably just has no idea, no clue what he didn't even see me or she didn't see me. And so I just need to let that go and know wonderful things are happening. Bless this person, because blessing, it's not, now I grew up in Texas, so this is not the bless your heart kind of thing. that's patronizing. This is a real blessing that says, I see the God in you. It's almost like a namaste, like the Hindus do, and I see the God in you. The way I see a blessing is I see the God in you. I see the God in this situation. The situation is a blessing. There's a hidden good perhaps in this, but I'm going to trust that it's there. And I may realize it, I may not. I may never know what it is. But I know that it is good, and I can experience the God within this situation, even among my sadness, my pain, my disappointment. I can find that God in there. I go back to Mother Teresa had a poem over her where she slept. Now, this poem was not by her, and it was an adapted version of a previous thing. I don't want to get caught into the history of the poem, but it's the words. And I think anything you read, what it is that reveals to you is important, whether it's the Bible or the Gita or other kinds of sacred texts, or you're picking up the newspaper, something you read online. What is the truth that's being revealed? Not necessarily what happened, but what is the truth that's being revealed? So this powerful poem that says, people are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Love them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. And bless them anyway also. To bless them. No matter what's going on or how they treat you, it's a blessing. And they are a blessing. I'm a blessing. Sometimes something really good happens in my life and somebody will say, oh, you're so lucky, or good, that was good luck. That was good fortune. And I accept that. I accept that. But also in my mind, I say it was a blessing. It's not luck. I don't believe in luck. I believe in blessing, that God in me is creating things. And to affirm that and know that, it actually creates more good in my life because I'm more open to it. And I create from that place of good. Also, every Sunday before the service, we do a blessing, right? We bless you, knowing that the peace and happiness you seek is also seeking you. That's just saying we see the God in you and the good in you and the good that's all around you. And we know that the peace and happiness you are seeking is also the good that is seeking you. That there's a coming together because you are affirming it and believing in that. So how do we find these blessings in our lives? How do we remember them? Well, some of it is just a mindfulness to, first of all, allow yourself to reveal the blessings. To reveal the blessings. As I mentioned before, too often we're evaluating a situation as good or bad, positive or negative, a blessing or a curse. Just let it sink into you, this idea that there is nothing evil that happens. There's nothing wrong. Now, there are things that are unhealthy, life-denying, and we can always choose again because everything is either good or a hidden good. Even when there is apparent violence and death and destruction, there's good in that. To find the good and the God. And I'm not justifying this violence. It's tragic. I grieve the loss of life. I grieve the life of someone who felt that that was what they had to do. But I know from psychology when people do violent acts or out of rage or abuse, It comes out of either power or revenge on life, that they think that they've been dealt a bad hand and so they want to take it out on others, or a negative affirmation of the unworthiness that they feel. A negative affirmation of the unworthiness they feel. And so my concern is sometimes ourselves, not that we're doing those kind of acts, but sometimes when something unfortunate happens, or hidden good, that we accepted, oh, that's just the way it is because we are not worthy. There's some hidden belief within us that we accept it, that's just the way it is. Life is like that. Instead of allowing that good to come out of it, to recognize it is what it is, to feel what we need to feel, contemplate on the good that's in it, and bring forth that truth. John Muir, I'm sure everybody in Northern California knows who he is, such a great naturalist. But he also had this sort of Thoreauian type philosophy in everything he wrote about. He said this, he said, "Going to the woods is going home, for I suppose we came from the woods originally. But in some of nature's forest, the adventurous traveler seems a feeble, unwelcome creature. Wild beasts in the weather trying to kill him. The rank, tangled vegetation, armed with spears and stinging needles, barring his way and making life a hard struggle." So, of course, John Muir is talking about the woods, and yet we also know that this can apply to the urban forest of our lives. How we see life as benevolent and good, and maybe some hidden good that's there, but overall it's this coming home and this blessing and this thing to celebrate life even when there is sadness. There is God and good. Or we see life as a struggle, that we have to beat down the bushes and the people are trying to hurt us and there's stinging needles and hard struggle, things barring our way. Now, I know there are times, both in the wilderness and in life, when I see it as a struggle. And I have to step back from that struggle and remind myself that there's good here, and to affirm the good and know the good is there, even if I am moving past obstacles, to recognize the good that's in that obstacle. I don't know what it is. I may never know. But I probably will if I allow it to come forth. Even if it's not in that situation, that obstacle, if it's me that creates a greater resolve or a deeper sense of peace, a deeper sense of joy in my life, a deeper sense of connection, that's good. That's always good. When I think of this topic about blessings that are in our lives, I think about the myriad of people that you hear about that have suffered the worst life-denying things in their lives, and they found good in it. Viktor Frankl, who was a Holocaust survivor, and most of his family was killed during that time. He could still see the divine in life during that time. Mother Teresa, who saw the divine in the sickness and the poverty in the Indian slums. Nelson Mandela, imprisoned for violent protest of apartheid, and found forgiveness and the power of nonviolence while in jail, and came out and made a difference once he was released. John Lewis, beaten, imprisoned, he found love and nonviolence as a path to social change. Rosa Parks, in her experience of limitation and abuse, found clarity in nonviolent protest, as did Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta in their stand for the right of farm workers, and the case of Dolores, the rights of women. And in their struggles, they found clarity and power and love, the way to create change, both within themselves first. We know that about Science of Mind, don't we? that first we change ourselves, and then we can begin to create shifts in the world through our consciousness and our love and our joy. It's interesting, during the last year, as I begin to have more conversations about people, they have been telling me about shifts that have happened. I talked to one person this week who, she said that during this time of social isolation, it's been hard. She's felt very lonely, to a point of feeling painfully alone. But she said what's interesting, when she wasn't able to do so many things, the busyness she used to do to keep from feeling sadness, she instead sat and contemplated and was willing to feel those feelings. And now, as she reconnects people, people see a calmer, more peaceful, more joyful person than they did before. So in that pain, she found a deepening of herself in moments of contemplation. I also know people that have found more trust in spirit, more connection, more, and I know myself, I found more of the I am strength within me when I didn't know what to do, because it was unknown how to run a center in these times. I found greater trust in the greater I am that's within me. And we can all do that. We can find that. So the second thing I want to say in this allowing the good is to reveal the blessing in others and ourselves. That we allow this. As I mentioned this week, I did slip and go into the long horn beep. I remember another time that somebody was going very slowly in front of me. This was in Denver. They were probably going 15, 20 miles an hour down a 40-mile-an-hour road. And I, of course, had places to go and things to do. And I didn't honk my horn, but I was aggravated. I was, as Psalm says, some people bless with their mouths, but inwardly they curse. Well, I was in the confines of my car. So inwardly I was cursing. And, so a light changed in front of us. It was a 2-lane road, and so I moved into the left lane so I could move past her at the light. And of course, when we judge people, I don't know about you, but when I judge somebody, I need to make sure and look at them to see who I'm judging, because I couldn't see them from behind. And so I looked over at the car next to me, and there was this woman who had her hands covered in her face, that she was distraught over something that happened in her life. I will never know what that is. But I realized my judgment was about me, and I didn't understand or didn't give anybody any credit. We can almost assume with every person we meet that they have struggles they're going through. We don't know what those struggles are, but let's treat them with the kind of respect that they deserve, that they and honor who they are right where they are. And wherever they show up or how they show up, know that within them is God, that we bless them. I heard a story this week that was very touching. It's from a book by Gerald May called The Awakened. And it tells of a family whose 5-year-old son they got a kitten for him, and this kitten was just a delight. He would run around after this kitten and play with the kitten. But the kitten, as it grew older, began to wander and go into the neighbor's yard. And next door to them was this curmudgeon older man who would just yell and get upset at the cat being in his rose garden, and even at one point threatened to poison the cat. Of course, the family was just in shock that he would say that out loud, and concerned about the little 5-year-old and his reaction to that whole thing. And sure enough, a couple of months later, this cat died unexpectedly. And the first thing the parents thought about was this curmudgeon man, that maybe the cat had been poisoned, but they didn't want to scar the young boy. So they sat down with him and explained to him about the cat. And we don't know how he died. And we don't really want to assume anything. We don't know. And the boy was very, very quiet. And he said about this man next door, whose name was John. He said, he must have been very lonely. Maybe we should give him a birthday party or something. So that's a 5-year-old. That's not thinking revenge. That's not thinking I'm going to show him. That's not cursing that man or making him evil. That's having empathy because we don't know what is going on with someone. A great story in the Bible about Jesus was there was a woman who was accused of being unfaithful. And there was a crowd gathering around her to throw stones at her, which was the punishment for being unfaithful into your marriage. And my first thought when I read that was, well, she was unfaithful with someone. How come the man's not there also? But still, these were the ways of the time. And Jesus stepped in and he said, let the person who's never made a misstep, who's never made a mistake, who's never sinned, let them throw the first stone. And of course, everybody shrunk off and wasn't throwing a stone. And you have to know, first of all, the word sin means just a missed target. That the archer who missed the target. And so he was just saying, let the person who's never made a misstep, who's never made an error in thought or word or deed, throw the first stone. So we too don't want to throw stones at people, but then we recognize sometimes we judge people, but what about when we throw stones at ourselves? When we judge ourselves, who exactly is throwing those stones at us? To give ourselves the same credit. Matthew Fox termed instead of original sin, calls it an original blessing that we are a creation of the universe, of the divine creator. We have that divine within us. We can recognize that divine in other people, but sometimes not ourselves. Brene Brown says that you're imperfect and you're wired for struggle, but you are worthy of love and belonging. So allow yourself to feel this love, to be this love, to open up. And finally, about this idea of blessing, I want to make sure today that you walk away knowing that you are always blessed. Always blessed. Spirit walks with you, is you, wherever you are. The words of Ricky Byers say for that song, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Can I hear an amen? Amen. Got a few in the room. Perhaps in May we'll have a few more when we have our outdoor services. What we know is that Spirit is moving in and through us at all times. I just go back to the words of Mother Teresa, or this poem, not her words, but the words in this poem, that people are often unreasonable, illogical, self-centered. And you can even add to that violent, abusive, narcissistic, power-hungry, uncaring. Love them anyway. Bless them anyway. The poem ends with, give the world your best. You see, in the final analysis, it is between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. It's between you and God. We create and know this blessing within us first. The truth of who we are, which is a divine creation, which, just like Brene Brown says, we're the way we We act in the world as imperfect. We're going to make mistakes. And we're worthy of love and belonging because the Spirit within us is this perfection, this wholeness, this completeness right where we are. And from this place, we bless all people, all situations, because we know wonderful things are happening through us right now. Let us go to prayer. In this moment, I know the Spirit is surrounding you right where you are. That whatever your prayer request may be, your desire, what you are seeking is heard by the universe, and Spirit is moving through you because of this good that is surrounding you, this Spirit whose arms are around you in this moment. The Spirit of truth that always is and always will be. We know that. We know that you are connected to Spirit and you're connected to all life. All life that is good. All life that is God. We know wonderful things are happening through me and wonderful things are happening through you right now. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say, Amen. And so it is. And now, a little more of Bodhi.
Blessing of the wind carries me home again, dancing to the still small voice within. The softness of the day opens me to pray, gently showing me the way. I am free, the wind she sings to me. Can you hear me laughing through the trees? You are free to live harmoniously. You are free to be. Blessing of the wind carries me home again, dancing to the still small voice within. The softness of the day carries me out to pray, gently showing me the way. I am free when she sings to me. Can you hear me laughing through the trees? You are free to live harmoniously. You are free to be. The blessing of the wind carries me home again, dancing to the still small voice within. The softness of the day opens me to pray, gently showing me the way. I am free when she sings to me. Can you hear me laughing through the trees? You are free to be. You are free to be. You are free to be. Blessing of the wind.
We are free to be. Thank you so much, Bodhi. Wonderful to have you here today, and wonderful to have LuAnn here from Montana. Good that it's good weather today, and bless you as the snow comes in. I do remember springtime in the Rockies in Colorado as well, so blessings to you. This is a time in our service we just want to acknowledge those people who have given to us over the past month and supporting the center, as well as invite you to support our center, that which nurtures you. It's part of the law of circulation to continue to give, and we know that you receive as well. And we know that through our weekly affirmation. Good seeing you, Jean. Thank you. So we affirm divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. And so it is. Thank you. We do start we had one in-person service at Easter that was what we call a soft opening by invitation only, but May 2nd, it's all hands on deck. We are inviting everybody to join us. We're going to put up some shade cloth to make it be a little warmer by then. And bring your chairs, bring your water, and you can bring coffee if you want to. So, and if you so feel like it, you either can give you an invitation either to dress up as much as you want, or you can come in your pajamas. We don't, just come as you are and leave as you want to be. We also bless our children and our families that continue to go into this place of unknown territory, make sure their children just feel loved and blessed right where they are. So we want to add to that by raising our hands, and we say, we love you, we care about you, and we're here for you. And finally, the affirmation that we do as a community together. Repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Let's repeat that one again. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
I am led by Spirit.
I am led by Spirit.
I am guided by wisdom.
I am guided by wisdom.
I am protected by love.
I am protected by love.
I am here to be a blessing.
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 I am so grateful.
I am so grateful.
And so it is.
So it is. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new now. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new. Peace, love, and joy now.
As we go forward, we remember we are a blessing, and we bless others knowing that they are God and good. And so it is.